Hey guys, we are going to be doing a challenging intermediate Pilates mat class today. So let's go ahead and get started stretching out our wrists because we are going to be starting in a 4-point kneeling position. So go ahead and with an extended arm, press your palm back towards you with your fingers facing down toward the ground. Really gentle little stretch here. Doesn't matter which hand you start with. Start taking deep breaths, getting that breath flowing through your body. Then we're going to flip our palm so that it's facing away from you and just pull your fingers back toward you. Really gentle, not forcing it to go farther than it wants to go. And then we'll switch hands and just do the same 2 stretches. Don't mind my dog joining us for parts of this exercise today. And flip. Great job. And then we'll glue our elbows and our forearms together, clasp your hands together right in front of you, and then we're just going to gently roll our wrists, just kind of warming them up. Rolling in one direction, trying to keep your forearms pressed together as we roll them out and switch directions. This is less of a stretch for your wrist. This one is more about mobility. Awesome. All right, we are going to get started, as I said, in a 4-point kneeling position. So you want your knees to be directly under your hips, your wrists directly under your shoulders. And if at any point it becomes uncomfortable to stay on your wrists, you can come up onto your fists. If that's more comfortable for you, you can also place a small rolled up towel underneath your wrists to kind of take the pressure off of your wrists as well. So we're just going to start with some cat-cows. So drop that tummy down toward the ground as you lift your chin up toward the sky. Deep stretch, and then flip the motion. So we are pressing our shoulder blades apart as we look down toward our thighs. And we'll just do a couple cat-cows here. Deep breaths, just readying your body for the work that we're going to do. We're going to challenge our body today, and in that way we're going to honor our body and celebrate all that it can do as well. Always bearing in mind that we move our bodies because we love our bodies. Alrighty, so we are going to do some bear positions now. So I want you to tuck your toes. And we're just going to really brace through your core. And we're going to lift our knees off the ground just about an inch and then lower back down and arch that back again. Look up toward the sky. Then come into your neutral spine, brace the core, lift the knees into bear position. Great job. So keeping your toes tucked this whole time so we can transition in between the 2 moves. Even though it's the lower body that's moving with the knees coming up off the ground, this is entirely an ab exercise. So really use the strength of your core to lift your knees off the mat. Really a great way to warm up that deep core, the transversus abdominis. Remember to breathe. At no point during class today are we going to be holding our breath. Great job. Awesome. Let's just do one more of these. I'm going to scoot forward just a little bit so I'm more at the top of my mat because we're going to go into a plank position here. So we go into bear, then we hold it and we send our right leg out long, left leg out long, left leg back into bear position, right leg back into bear position, and rest the knees. And then we arch our back again. Very good. So we go into bear, extend the right leg, extend the left leg. Strong plank here for just a second before we come back into bear. Set the knees down, arch the back. We'll just keep going like that, trying to alternate legs. So left, right, right, left, moving with slow control. Lift up into bear. Great job. We'll just do one more. Great job. And we'll sit back into child's pose and just roll out those wrists a little bit as well. I promise after this first little bit of class, we're going to get off our wrists. Give them a little bit of a break after this. Great job. So we're going to come back into that plank position. So I'm going to lift up into bear and then send one leg out long and then the other. And then we're just going to do some single leg lifts in our plank position. So we point and lift the left leg up. With control, set it back down, point and lift the right leg. And then we come down to our knees and we do a Pilates push-up. Pop up into a plank. We start with the right leg goes up, set it back down. Left leg goes up, set it back down, down to the knees, Pilates push-up. Great job. Trying to alternate legs here, moving with control. You're not swaying from one side to the other. You can also take out the push-up if that's a little bit too much for you today. It's hard. This is a full body exercise. Knees down. You only go down as far as you can in that push-up while keeping proper form. I'm always working on my push-ups. Great job. One more. Core is on. Booty's on. Shoulders on. Pop back up to plank and send it back to downward dog. Whew, great job. Let your head hang between your arms. All the weight in your hands is in between your pointer finger and your thumb. Try and push those heels down into your mat. Some deep breaths here. Great job. We just have one more push and plank. So let's ripple forward. Holding a strong plank, we're going to lift that left leg, send it out laterally to the side and back. Right leg, we're just going to do 8 of these. So we have 6, 5, push the mat away from your chest. Staying super strong, not swaying. Great job. Last one. Amazing. Bring it down. Those are super challenging. You can come back into child's pose. Great job. Whew. What a way to start class, am I right? Awesome job. Okay, we're going to come down onto our bellies now for a little bit of prone work. Give that lower body a little bit of a break. Come off of our wrists. So we're going to really drop that pubic bone down heavy into the mat. So tuck your tailbone under, really engage your abs. Bring your chest down to the ground, and I want the back of your neck nice and long. So you're not looking up ahead of you and your forehead isn't completely down on the ground. It'll just be about, I would say, what is that, like an inch? Your nose will be about an inch off the ground. So I want you to bring your palms flat down on the mat, right about underneath your armpits. Tuck that tailbone, engage the abs. Neck is nice and long. We're just going to lift our palms up off the ground and hold it for a second, and then bring it back down. So we lift our palms and let our chest come up a little bit off the ground and rest. So we retract the shoulder blades, big time here, and then we rest. So imagine if I had my hand between your shoulder blades. Retract your shoulder blades, squeeze them together to lift up your palms off the ground. And imagine that you would be giving my hand a little hug. in between your shoulder blades. So we squeeze together, hug my imaginary hand between your shoulder blades, and rest back down. Great job. This is great for building up the posture muscles in your upper back. Really great for overall, just extending the spine like this is very healthy. Good spine health we're practicing here. Next time we get up, let's hold it. And as you can see, our arms are kind of in a 90-degree angle. You can bring them out to the side a little bit more so they're not right beside your chest. And what we're going to do is a little overhead extension, keeping that 90-degree angle in the elbows. And then we pull back down to the side and back up. If you'd like to, you can definitely rest between sets here. So you could lift up, extend overhead, pull down laterally, and rest. If you want a little extra challenge, don't rest in between. You could just go overhead with the 90-degree angle and pull down. Engage through your glutes, engage through your abs. This is some serious shoulder work here. Tuck the tailbone to keep that work out of your lower back. Great job. Let's do 3 more. Here's 3. Here's 2. Here's 1. Amazing. Push back again into that child's pose. Release any tension in that lower back. Release all that work in our shoulder blades. Amazing. We're just about 10 minutes into class today. And I am, as you can tell, out of breath. I am sweating. Doesn't take much. Intermediate Pilates is hard. All right, we're gonna come into a side lying position now. So I'm coming down on my right side and I'm just going to rest my head in my hand. We're going to have our feet flexed for this whole side lying series that we're doing. So I want you to think about balancing on the little hip bone that kind of juts out of your side here. It's called the trochanter. So you can kind of roll around a little bit and find that little jutty out kind of hip bone. Tent your fingers in front of you because it is difficult to stay balanced on that hip bone. It takes a lot of core strength and balance. So you can definitely put your hand in front of you to help stabilize you in this position. So we're going to flex that top foot. We're going to lift it up to just about hip height, and then we're just going to bend it backward, lengthen, and lower. So we lift, bend, lengthen, and lower. Really recruiting through our outer thighs. You're going to feel it in your quad as you bend the knee backward, keeping that foot flexed this whole time, trying to balance on that trochanter. Keep your abs engaged, and that will also help you balance. Breathe deep for me here. I know we've been doing some good work, so I want to make sure you're getting enough breath. Great job. Doing fantastic. Let's just do a couple more. Really starting to feel this in that under butt region. Starting to feel it in my hammies. Awesome. So keep it out long here. You can bring it down if you need a break. We're going to do some external and internal hip rotations with this top leg here. So go ahead and bring your leg up, flex the foot. What we're going to do is some external and internal hip rotations. So I want you to focus less on what your foot is doing and more think about if you had a light shining out of your knee. Think about how this is an internal rotation. So now my knee is kind of pointing more down toward the mat. And then as I externally rotate, the knee is pointing up more toward the sky. I'm still trying to balance on my trochanter. My abs are still on. This is a small move, but you're really going to feel this kind of up around your hip flexors. You're going to feel this a little bit in your booty. This is a great move for hip mobility and strength. Keeping that foot flexed. So again, imagine if you had a flashlight coming out of your knee, that light would be facing up towards the sky as we externally rotate, down toward the mat as we internally rotate. Great job. Awesome. I know this is kind of a funky one if you haven't done it before. Burns it out though, for sure. All right, we're gonna keep an external hip rotation. You can bring it down, kind of roll your ankle out a little bit. I know it's hard to hold that flexed foot position. We're gonna do some heel beats, no place like home heel beats. So I want you to flex that foot. And again, we're gonna externally rotate the leg so that your toes will be kind of facing up toward the sky. Your thigh is shining up toward the sky. You're gonna flex this bottom foot as well. Really use this hand in front of you to help stabilize you. I want you to keep this top leg in the same position as we kind of use our abs and our inner thighs of the lower leg to bring the lower leg up and try to tap those heels together. There's no place like home. There's no place like home. We're just going to do a few of these. Try to bring that bottom leg up to meet the top leg. So your top leg isn't coming down to meet your bottom leg. Top leg stays at that hip height, and we bring the bottom leg up to meet the top leg. Trying to tap those heels together. My heels are not actually tapping one another. They're not actually touching, but we're bringing up the heels close to one another. Really going to feel this in your inner thigh of that bottom leg like crazy. Trying to move with control here. So you're not just throwing it up there and letting it fall back down to the ground. We'll do 3 more. Here we go. 2. Keep that external rotation of the top leg. 1. Oh my goodness. Amazing job. Let's just stretch out that top leg a little bit. So we'll bring the foot in front of us. Woo, and just kind of let your knee stretch back away from you. Kind of stretch out that hip flexor, stretch out that top leg. She's working hard. Great job. We're going to switch sides now. Go ahead and come on over to the other side. Again, our head is going to rest in our hands, and we're going to balance on that trochanter. If that's a little bit too hard, you can always bend the bottom leg for the first couple of moves to help stabilize you, because the balancing is pretty difficult. So we're going to flex the top foot. I'm lying on my left side now, so my right leg is the side working, so I'm going to flex that foot. We lift it, bend the knee backward, extend, and lower. Lift, bend, extend, lower. Great job. Little bit of a lift for the inner thigh, a little bit of a hamstring curl as we bend our knee. This is a great move. Abs are on. Use that stabilizing hand in front of you to help you keep your balance. And as always, we are breathing through this. Your leg doesn't need to go really high, by the way. That'll actually kind of take some of the work out of that knee bend if we have it too high. So really keep it kind of shooting straight out of your hip. Great job. It is challenging to balance on the trochanter. Makes you feel like you're gonna fall backwards or forwards as we move that leg, but that's why we keep our core engaged to help us balance. Awesome. Let's just do 1 more. Great job. You can bring it down, roll out that ankle a little bit. We're going to do those thigh rotations now. So we're going to lift up to hip height, keeping that foot flexed. We're going to externally rotate and internally rotate. External, internal, always balancing on that little hip bone. I know it would be easy to kind of let yourself fall backwards and roll forward, but that's not the move. So make sure everything is really still. Upper body's completely still. Your bottom leg is not moving. This motion is coming from your hip. Our pelvis is a little bit of a ball and socket situation here. So we're moving that ball in the socket as we rotate externally and internally. Really, really good for hip mobility. The older we get, we want to make sure that we're keeping those joints nice and lubricated to prevent injury, to keep us just feeling good and feeling strong and feeling safe through our daily movements. Great job. All right, let's go into those no place like home heel beats. So external rotation, toes, knees, thighs kind of pointing up toward the sky. Flex your bottom foot. Keep this top leg stationary, not moving. And we bring that bottom leg up to meet the top leg. Recruit your abs here. That will definitely help you get your leg up, but this really is an inner thigh exercise. So mostly focus on the inner thigh of that bottom leg, powering up and lifting your leg up. Remember to breathe. Great job. This is challenging. Keep that external rotation on the top leg. Don't let that top leg come down. Only bring the bottom leg up. Let's do one more. Amazing. Bring that top leg forward. You can place the foot down, grab that ankle, and just let that knee kind of push away from you a little bit. Open up those hips that we were really working. Great job. Awesome. We're going to go into a little bit of core work now. So let's flip onto our backs. And we're going to be in neutral spine here, so make sure you have a little bit of a gap between your back and the mat without overextending. And we're just going to do some ab prep here. So I want you to send energy out through your fingertips and pretend like someone is pulling your arms up as we lift our head and our shoulders, and we stop right about at the breastbone region. So we're not trying to crunch all the way up, which would send us into a posterior pelvic tilt. Our spine is remaining in neutral here, and then we come back down slow and controlled. We come up, we're breathing, and slowly bring ourselves back down. Really tap into that deep core. Great job. So remember in the beginning when we were doing that bear position, we really tapped into that deep, deep core, the transversus abdominis, to pull our knees off the ground. That's the same muscles that we're tapping into right now for this move. So we're not holding our breath. We're not using momentum to get us up here. This is all the strength of those beautiful core muscles that you have. Great job. Let's do one more. Now we lift our legs to tabletop, keeping that neutral spine, so you're not letting your knees come back towards you. We have a neutral spine, so your knees are about arm width away from you. We're going to place our hands behind our head, and we're just going to take our right hand and reach over to our left side. Return behind the head, left hand reaches over to our right side, and then we rest our head back down. Got it? So we crunch up just to the breastbone, reach over to the left, reach over to the right, and we rest. Up, reach, and down. If the tabletop is a bit too much for you, feel free to just place your legs down like we were doing in regular ab prep. Just remember to keep that neutral spine. Amazing job. Great job. Also, we want to protect that cervical spine, which is the upper portion of our spine. So I want you to check in and just make sure you have about a fist width between your chin and your chest as we're doing all of this. So you're not bending your upper spine so that your chin is tucked all the way to your chest. We don't want to do that. We want to keep our cervical spine nice and safe to prevent injury. Great job. Bring your head up. Let's take this into some bicycle crunches now. So I want you to extend that right leg as you pull that elbow toward your left knee, and then replace that right leg. Extend the left and twist over to the right. We're moving somewhat slowly here. We don't want to go so fast that we lose control and we go out of neutral spine. That's not what we want. So we're moving with control, going at your own pace. This is super difficult. I am very fatigued right now. So when we become fatigued, it's easy to try and kind of cut corners. Our muscles try and find the easiest way to complete a movement. But we want to get the most out of the moves and we want to do them safely as well. So keeping your elbows wide here, think about your elbow reaching toward your knee instead of just moving your elbow to touch that opposite knee, and you'll get more out of the move. Great job. Last two. Great job. Bring those knees in toward your chest and just rock back and forth. Give those abdominals a little bit of a rest here before we go up into our last series, which is our roll-up series. Alrighty, so we're gonna go into our roll-ups. I'm gonna scoot up toward the top of my mat here, and I am going to glue my legs together, glue my feet together, and I'm gonna bring my hands overhead. We're just gonna do a couple regular roll-ups. So I want you to bring your arms overhead, tuck the tailbone under, and allow it to bring you all the way up to a seated position with your spine stacked nice and tall. Squeeze your legs together as we tuck the tailbone, C curve through the spine as we lower ourselves down vertebra by vertebra, arms come back overhead. Let's do another one of those. Arms come overhead, tuck the tailbone, C curve, stack the spine. Great job. We're gonna advance this a little bit. So if at any point that becomes a little bit too much, just come back to the regular roll-ups. You can also bend your knees to make the roll-up a little bit more doable. We're gonna advance all the way up to a teaser. We're gonna try, okay? So we're gonna do some teaser prep now. So keeping these legs long, if you're coming with me for the more advanced options, we bring the arms overhead, tuck the tailbone, and lift your left leg up. And here's an important check-in point here. So we want our back to be flat, and we're in a V shape with our upper body and our leg. And we want our arms and our legs to be parallel and teaser, okay? So then we lower the leg as we lower our upper body down as well. Now we're gonna do it with the other leg, okay? So we bring our arms over our head, tuck the tailbone and lift the right leg, and then bring your spine up so that your back is nice and tall. Excuse me, not nice and tall, nice and flat, because we are leaning back and your arms and legs are parallel. Then we lower legs and upper body down slowly. Arms come overhead. Let's do that again on each leg. So we bring upper body, tuck the tailbone, lift the leg, point the toes. Great job. Lower everything down. Amazing. One more time on the other side. Arms come up, tuck the tailbone, lift the leg. Really think about, instead of having a C curve in your spine, think about lifting your chest up so that your back is flat. I am not doing this perfectly because this is really hard, and this is something that I'm actively working on too. So my form might not be perfectly perfect, but that's okay because progress over perfection, okay? This is something that takes a lot of work. So we're gonna try to go into full teaser now. So just like we were doing with teaser prep where it was one leg at a time that we would lift right after we do the pelvic tilt, we're gonna try and lift both legs up at the same time and just hold for a moment at the top in that V shape with a flat back and our arms and legs parallel. Again, this is very hard for me. So I am right there with you trying to execute this very advanced move. All right, so arms come overhead. Pelvic tilt, woo! And the legs come up. You can see my legs are shaking. I'm trying to straighten my back, trying to get my legs and arms parallel, and then we lower everything at the same time. Great job. I used a little bit too much momentum there, which kind of threw me off. So make sure we're really moving with control through our abs, okay? So let's try again. Arms come up, pelvic tilt, legs come up. Press those toes together, legs together. Great job. Flatten the back and lower back down. You're breathing through this whole thing. All right, can we do one more? So press the legs together, core is on, we lift our upper body, pelvic tilt as we lift the legs, really reach toward your feet. Great job, lower everything back down. Oh, amazing job. Let yourself just stretch out in either direction. Become as long as you can in your body. Amazing job. Wowzas. We're going to do a little supine waist stretch. And before we do that, wow, so proud of you for even attempting that. Those are so hard. Amazing job. We're going to do a little bit of a supine waist stretch. So grab that right knee, pull it in toward your chest, and then pull it over to the left side as you try and keep that right shoulder blade down on the ground as much as possible. Great job today. This was a very difficult class. A lot of advanced moves in there. And you know what? Even if you weren't able to completely do all the advanced moves, you still showed up for yourself. You still challenged your body. And that is such a win. That's amazing. You're never going to be perfect at something the first time you try it. And so keep coming back to this class. And it's fun to see how you improve the more you practice at something. Let's go ahead and bring that knee back in and we switch sides. Awesome. And whoop, stopped my timer there. And we just switch sides, trying to keep that left shoulder blade down on the ground as we twist over to the side. I have been working on I've tried the teaser, the full teaser, multiple times throughout the last several years, and I never thought that my core would be strong enough to do it, but about 6 months ago, I challenged myself to really work at it, and my goal was to be able to do a full teaser. And now I can probably, honestly, today is probably the best I've ever done. So don't think that I'm some kind of anomaly to be able to do it, because if you work at it, you can do it. You can. Okay, so we're just going to do a little bit of a figure 4 stretch here. So cross that left ankle over the right knee, keeping that knee nice and bent. Try and get it away from your chest instead of having it up here, just as far as you're able to. It just depends on flexibility. And then push your chest up toward your calves. Great job today. You should be proud of yourself. You did something very hard today. Great job. Breathing into it. Awesome. Let's go ahead and switch sides. Not pushing past discomfort into pain. We don't want this to be painful, but it might be a little bit of a discomfort as our muscles stretch, but we don't want it to be painful. Great job. Alrighty, if you need to give your wrists some extra love, or if you want to stretch out your legs a little bit longer, anything like that, feel free to take a couple extra minutes for yourself. Way to go today. Again, I've said it a bunch, but that was amazing that you did this class today. So I cannot wait to see you in the next class, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day.